What's up guys, welcome to Daily Refinement. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to set and create a schedule to list between 5 and 160 items daily. If you guys have never been to my channel before, I sell between 1,500 and 2,000 items per week, and I am a 7-figure annual revenue seller on multiple different platforms. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I balance running a business with 5 full-time employees and being done by 4 p.m. every single day. Now, there are no shortcuts in reselling. I'm not going to give you guys any tricks on how to do it in a shortcut manner. I'm going to show you guys how to do all the necessary steps in the least amount of time as possible. I think there's a big misconception that you can take a shortcut or some kind of a hack to do this when there's really not. Most of reselling is time management. So I've actually included the course in the description below with Skillshare that is free. So you can take that course to support the channel or like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Let's go over all the steps required to make and create a schedule. Appreciate you guys. I believe there are 8 steps to make and create a schedule, but before we get into those 8 steps, I want to go over 3 reasons why I think it's really important to have a schedule. Number 1, it helps you be a lot more consistent. Number 2, it reduces decision fatigue because worrying about what to do next is always very stressful. And then number 3, if you have a schedule, you can get done early enough to actually handle emergencies when they happen. So really important to get done early and have enough margin. So let's get into the 8 steps now. Step number 1 is to write down all the responsibilities and tasks that you are responsible for every single week. So we've actually made a list of all the things that people commonly need to do each week in a downloadable resource in the Skillshare course below, but you can also just screenshot right now and make your own list of items that you find really important or that you need to do every single week. It all starts with figuring out what you need to do each week before you start making a schedule. So now that we have this list of all these things that you need to do, step number 2 is to prioritize them. So we're actually going to separate them into business or personal. So it's either going to help you reach your income goal or related to your goal outside of work. So personal or business, and then you are actually going to separate it from there into needs and wants. And this is really important because it's going to help you decide what's the most important to you and what to focus on first. So I'm going to give you guys an example of how to do this. So let's say you have 3 things on your personal list. 1 is pick up your kids from school, and 1 is read a book, and 1 is go for a walk. So obviously a need would be pick up your kid from school because that's something that you have to do, and a want might be read a book or go for a walk. On the business side of things, it might be learn a new niche, like a new product or category that you want to work on. Also might be post office, right? So you have to go to the post office to get your packages out Monday through Friday so that you don't get any defects on your account. So that would be a need. A want would be to get better at a new category so that you can expand your Rolodex of things that you can buy to be profitable. So you have to prioritize and do the most important things first. And with the extra time left, you do the wants. Number 3 is to figure out how many times these tasks recur. So example, of customer service. You do customer service more than 1 time a day. Say you do it 4 times a day. So 4 times 7 is 28. You'd put the number 28 next to customer service. Now shipping, you might do shipping 7 days a week, even though you only go to the post office 5 times a week. So you want to adjust all the different things that you're doing and rank them in the order that you do them most often, because the things that you do the most often are the most important habits to build first. So I look at building a schedule as sort of creating and maintaining habits, because habits are much easier to keep than trying to figure out what to do on a spur of the moment basis. So we're trying to create a schedule of the things that are the most important and happen the most often. So it's important to rank how often things happen on your schedule list. So number 4 is to group similar tasks together. So let's use the personal example of washing the dishes and maybe putting dishes away or unloading the dishwasher. Those are all related to the same area. So I would group those tasks together, maybe put them in the one task. I highly recommend combining photography and listing into the same task, because you should photograph and then immediately list so you remember all the details from you just taking the photos. So it's important to group similar tasks together. They also call this habit stacking, where you combine things that can be combined together, like brush your teeth and flossing should be at the same time, not separate. So if you can combine all your important tasks right next to each other, it's going to really help you stay consistent. Step number 5 is to assign tasks to a specific day of the week. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves and scheduling an exact time, just say on Mondays I do this, on Tuesdays I do this, on Wednesdays I do this, and it will really help you start to organize how you split your day. So not everyone is fortunate enough to have the same day, Sunday through Saturday. So you want to make sure to group each day so that you know you have a certain mission on that day to accomplish. And it makes it a lot easier when you start defining what day you want to get it done. Number 6 is to optimize your tasks. So let's say it takes you 1 hour to go get groceries. Maybe you can order the same groceries in 5 minutes online. So you can essentially shorten all the tasks that you need to do into a shortened amount of time without losing the actual result of the idea. So a lot of people, if it takes you an hour to list 5 items and you learn how to do it in half an hour, you're essentially optimizing your task. So number 7 is to order the tasks, and I like to do the hardest tasks first. So I prioritize things that require the most thinking first, and that way I can basically save my most creative juices for the hardest part of my day. So you can schedule it by morning, midday, evening, afternoon, and stuff like preparing, I always do at the end of the day because it's variable. So I don't know how long that's going to take. So I don't want to mess up the flow of the rest of my day. I want to do things that I know take a certain amount of time first. After that, I'll do the variable part in case it takes a little bit longer. I want to have had most of my stuff already done. Step number 8 is stay flexible and just get started. You're always going to have to adjust your schedule as soon as you start doing it because things will make sense doing it earlier or later, and you're going to have to adjust as you go. Also, there's no perfect schedule, so you'll have to continuously adjust the rest of your life. There'll always be something different that comes up that'll have you rearrange how your schedule is. So it's really important to stay flexible and not beat yourself up, and also really stay focused on getting really good at it because change is really hard and really time consuming and can be frustrating. So you want to get to the point where you're finishing your day 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so you have the rest of the day for those emergencies. You have to stay flexible and just give yourself a little bit of grace as you're putting this together. Okay, so in this section, we're going to talk about how to keep a schedule. And I want to remind people that I do have a free Skillshare course in the description that goes over all this in much more detail. There's a lot of information to put into one YouTube video. But essentially, what you want to do is really focus on being flexible and figuring out your priorities. So for me personally, my schedule changed dramatically once I became married. Also, once after I had my baby, my schedule changed really dramatically and then my priorities shifted. So essentially for me, the way I block out my day is in the morning, I work on my mastermind call with other resellers where we go over what's important to us, what we're working on, what the most important task of the day is. That's what we're doing first thing in the morning. That's what I do. I also figure out my most important tasks in the morning during that call. After that, I have to block out, or I block out about 2 hours with my newborn, or my daughter is now 1 year old. So I play with her, feed her, take her to school. So that takes about 2 hours to do that block, and that's really important to me. So I do that first. When I get to work, I make sure that my shop is running smoothly. Like I said before, I have 5 employees, so I need to make sure everyone's schedule is on point, all the supplies are in place, the store is ready to go. At 10 o'clock, we start making YouTube videos. So Christina Rise, for about 3 hours, we make content like this for the YouTube channel. And I'm also using that time to sort of build resources so I can help more than one person at the same time. And then from 1 to 4, I work on the business, so I'm sort of figuring out new directions I want to take my channel, new items that I want to resell in my store. I build relationships. That's how I block out my day. So essentially, I set my most important tasks for the day, and I recommend this for whatever industry you're in. I hang out with my daughter. Then I go and I work on my reselling business. Then I work on my YouTube channel. And then after that, I work on how to improve all those different parts of my life. And I'm usually done around 4 o'clock. I go home, spend the rest of my day with my family. On the way home, sometimes I stop at the post office if there's overflow from the daily pickup. So my day is pretty much set Monday through Friday. It's almost exactly the same. On Saturday, I take the day completely off. And on Sunday, I actually spend the first 8 hours of the day at the flea market from 3 in the morning to 11 in the morning. So my schedule is very similar every single week, and that's how I'm able to really keep my schedule. And it's really, really hard to deal with any kind of change for me, but there's definitely room in case I have to work one day late until 10 o'clock. I've been so reliable to my family that they have no issue with covering me for that day. So my wife can go on a trip with her friends, and that day I take the day completely off and just take care of my baby. So I could do that all day, and I could do the same thing and ask the same from my partner. So it's important to have designated spaces and differentiation between personal and business. And that's why we separated the tasks at the beginning of this exercise into personal and business. That way you can really be present when you're with your family or doing personal stuff, and really be present when you're with your business. I think that there's a cartoon where there's a guy that's at work and the thought bubble shows his kid at the beach. So he's really thinking about his kid while he's at work. And then the next panel is him at the beach thinking about his work that he never finished. So you don't want to be at 2 different places at the same time. You want to have a clear distinction between work and personal. So there are two more things that really help you keep a schedule, and that's to be realistic on how long things take. So as an example, when you're filming videos, there's always going to be distractions or noises or things that get in the way of you getting your work done, but you need to factor enough time to really get the content done. So as an example, we're trying to film a 10-minute video in 3 hours. It takes time to plan, organize, set things up. So for me, as an example, we want to list 200 or more items every single day at work. So I have to plan for thousands of items, tens of thousands of items. I have to look for super long-term relationships with long-term people, because in order to do that type of thing, it requires more than one person helping you. If you want to get to that next stage, you have to be flexible and really think about staying ahead, being ahead of schedule and planning ahead for what happens next week, next month, next year. And I think a really good way to think about how to condense something into a shorter period of time is think about what you're going to do after. Right? There's more to life than just working and then dropping dead. You most likely have something that you want to do after work. So I feel like a lot of people don't have anything exciting to look forward to. So instead of doing an 8-hour workday in 8 hours, it just takes them 16 hours a day because they have nothing to do after. Their time just expands to the time, the work expands to the time that they have, and instead of like the time they've allotted to do the actual work. So reselling actually does not take very long, but people just don't have priorities in their life to force themselves to do it in a really short period of time. So it's really important, again, to plan for a vacation, plan for that trip, planning for early retirement. That really helps you zone in on staying focused. Before we get into the final tip, I want to remind you guys that we have a Skillshare course below with more of this stuff outlined in detail to help you guys build and create a schedule. But the final tip that I have, I think, is really important. It's to actually build in cushion time in between every task that you have. So for me, it's at least 15 minutes to half an hour, and that helps me in case there's any overage in getting that task done. So part of that overage is also related to trying to be early. So I'm now trying to become at least 5 or 10 minutes early to every single appointment that I have. So it's really requiring like a superhuman level of planning, and I have to have enough cushion. And I really think that's the key. Margin is the key to everything. You got to have extra, because there's always stuff that comes up. So I appreciate you guys. Until next time, make progress daily.